Hi guys, today we're reading a book that has been highly recommended to me under the premise that it will be the creepiest book I have ever read in my life. This is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. Every time that someone recommends me this book, they tell me, prepare to be creeped out. I've mentioned before that it's really hard for a book to creep me out or to scare me in any way. Movies and TV shows, I can't watch them. If they're a horror or they're scary, I won't sleep at night. A book, on the other hand, it does not affect me in that way. I'm easy breezy, lemon squeezy when it comes to horror. People have said that this will be the book to change me. I'm really intrigued by this book. It's literally called Pet Sematary. It is by the king of horror, Stephen King. And we're going to read it together, and I'm going to share with you my updated thoughts as I progress throughout the book, and then at the end I'll do an overall review on what I thought about it. Is this the creepiest book I've ever read? We shall soon find out. Just an FYI, there will be spoilers in this video, more spoilers as the video progresses. Right now I can't spoil anything for you because I don't have a clue what happens in this book. But by the end of the video I will have read it and I will have spoiled stuff for you, so just bear that in mind. Let's get cracking. So first impressions, this book is about a pet cemetery. It says a pet isn't just for life. That's good, because if my bunny rabbit could live forever, I would be eternally grateful. And then if I could live forever as well, then we would just have a very, very happy immortality. So as far as I'm aware, this is about a man who moves into a brand new home. With his family, he's hoping to settle down. He's a doctor as well. And he just wants to have a settled life with his wife and children. Obviously, we know that with a book called Pet Sematary, that ain't gonna be the case. There's gonna be no settling down for this guy. And as far as I'm aware, just outside his house there is a road which has a lot of traffic, and it is known for animals running into the road and being grotted by trucks, lorries, cars, vehicles. As you can tell, this is a very happy book. I think as an animal lover, that's the main reason why I've been reluctant to pick up this book. I can deal with human deaths, I'm okay with that. When it comes to animal deaths, I really struggle. Marley and Me was one of the movies that made me cry the most out of any movie I've ever watched in my life. So I am concerned about how I'm going to feel about this book. The kids in the town have set up their own pet cemetery, hence the misspelling of the word cemetery, because children have written it, they've not written it very well. I'm using the excuse that only children can't spell. I am a fully formed adult and I would probably struggle to spell cemetery. My initial first guess, I haven't read a single page of this book yet, I've just read the blurb. All of the information I've just shared with you is on the blurb. My guess is that, obviously, these dead AF animals are going to come back to life in the cemetery. And they're going to haunt our main guy. And there's going to be some creepy stuff going on. They've moved into a new house, maybe we get some haunted house vibes. Those are my general first impressions going into it, not having read a single thing. So let's get in with reading this book. I'm going to do some check-ins here and there. It's going to be like a casual reading vlog style-esque, but I am going to be updating you as I go throughout the book with my thoughts, feelings, and I'm going to see if I can predict what happens as well. So I hope that you enjoyed this reading vlog of Pet Sematary, possibly the creepiest book I will ever read. Okay guys, so I just sat down to start reading this book. I'm so sorry if you can hear the rain pitter-pattering in the background and the traffic, like driving over puddles. But guys, this is the perfect setting. I think I've picked the perfect time to start reading this book. So basically, I say read this book, I haven't even started the book yet. All I've done is read the author's note at the start, which by the way, I would highly recommend you don't skip over that. Like, that set the scene perfectly. So this book is already giving me crazy autumnal vibes. Like, I was a bit worried, like, whether I'd planned this wrong and should I be saving this book for Halloween? Probably, but I'm so fortunate in the fact that it is currently chucking it down outside. It was yesterday, it's forecast to do it all week. So I think that this is going to feel like the most autumnal week that we will have in spring in the UK. And I just think that I've picked this book perfectly for this awful week that we're having. So let me read out to you why it feels autumnal. I am going to have to pop you down. Oop! This is a weird angle, ain't it? So let me read out to you the author's note. This is crazy, guys. This is the first line in the introduction. When I'm asked, as I frequently am, what I consider to be the most frightening book I've ever written, the answer I give comes easily and with no hesitation: Pet Sematary. All I know is that Pet Sematary is the one I put away in a drawer, thinking I had finally gone too far. Put simply, I was horrified by what I had written and the conclusions I had drawn. Is this not absolutely crazy? So I'm wondering if this book is going to have themes around processing grief and loss as well, which is a topic that I do tend to stay away from just because it's a very personal topic, and it's one that I struggle to know how to deal with. Probably one of my biggest fears in life is the loss of people that I love. I just don't really know how to process that. Maybe this book will help me. So it says, I'm particularly uneasy about the book's most resonant line, spoken by Louis Creed's elderly neighbour Judd. Sometimes, Louis, Judd says, dead is better. Perhaps sometimes dead is better is grief's last lesson. That lesson suggests that in the end, we can only find peace in our human lives by accepting the will of the universe. That may sound like corny, new age crap, but the alternative looks to me like a darkness too awful for such mortal creatures as us to bear. Guys, this is deep. This is absolutely freaking deep. So this book is going to make me think about grief and loss, and can you see up my nose right now? And in particular, grief and loss of a loved pet. So I am worried about how emotional this book is going to make me. But at the same time, I'm really excited for Stephen King to say without hesitation that this is his most frightening book and that he's kind of disturbed by what he's written. I'm ready and raring to go. I really want to read this book. I will check into you shortly once I've actually read some of it, because I haven't even read the actual book itself yet, just the author's introduction. Hi guys, sorry I fell asleep last night and didn't update you on anything, but I did read the introduction and the first 2 chapters, and then this morning I've come down and read another 3 chapters, so I think I'm on chapter 5. Yeah, chapter 5, page 15, so really not a lot at all. But what I am going to do this morning, because I have a very free day, is I'm just going to sit and read for a bit. Like, I can't remember the last time that I had a slow morning and just sat and read for like an hour or so without having to move. I have a feeling that this book is obviously going to focus on death. It's about a cemetery and it's obviously a horror. So I'm assuming like ghosts and things. So I'm going to start reading some more in a moment. I just wanted to say as well, so I'm pretty sure last night I was like less than 10 pages in, and I remember thinking to myself, like, it's an absolute talent how in such a few short pages Stephen King allows you to learn so much about the characters. Like, he has a way of adding such character depth in such short chapters. So few words. Like, I felt like I knew so much about Louis from the first like couple of pages, maybe even the first couple of paragraphs that he was in. Like, I think that's a talent from Stephen King, that he just gets straight to the point and he tells you so much about these characters in a few short sentences, but they're really powerful sentences. I'm enjoying the writing style so far. I mean, it's Stephen King, so I didn't doubt that I was going to enjoy that. And yeah, I'll catch up with you shortly. Got my little reading buddy. Oh, okay, maybe not. Have you got any wise words that you'd like to say for the video today? What would you like to say? Yeah? You got some wise words going through that little noggin of yours. This is genuinely my favourite thing to do at the start of every day, is just sit and read with Lupin. Anyway, I am going to go and get ready for the day now, because, you know, I'm an adult, so I need to go get ready. So I think I'm about like less than 50 pages in, and I've just got to the actual like Pet Sematary part where it's introducing
the Pet Sematary, which is obviously the whole purpose of the book. The book is titled after it. It's odd, like there's something so eerie but also wholesome about the Pet Sematary, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to feel that way. So the Pet Sematary was created by the children who live in the town to honour their deceased pets. So a lot of them have died through this like really busy road outside of the like house where Louis and his family have moved into. The children have all created a pet cemetery to, you know, have this shared place to honour their dead. And it's actually quite cute. Like, just this little image of all the kids making graves and writing little messages. Like, one of them's got a grave for their bunny rabbit. What are you doing to me? You're digging at me. Why are you digging at me? I'm not sure if I'm supposed to feel creeped out by it or just really wholesome. I'm conflicted already. Also, I quite like Louis as a main character. I do quite like him. I'm not sure like what version of Louis it is pronounced. I know that some people pronounce it Lewis. However, I've always known that spelling to be like Louis, so that's just what I'm going to say for the purpose of this video, but I do apologise if my pronunciation is incorrect. Louis, Lewis, potato, potato, tomato, tomato. But yeah, I quite like him as main character. He feels likeable. He's like kind of like somebody I feel like I could root for. The whole family, actually. I really like the whole family. So you've got obviously you've got Louis, you've got his wife, and then he's got 2 young little kids. Yeah, it's just cute. It's cute so far.
Please excuse the wet hair. I did just have a shower and got myself partially ready. But I think rather than spending unnecessary time finishing off my makeup right now and blow drying my hair, I'm just going to let it air dry. Because then I've got more time for reading, and I'm also going to do some content work right now as well. So I am on chapter 12, which is page 66. Also, I noted down something that I really liked. Here it is. So it was descriptions of death on page 61. So like I said earlier, I think there's major themes of grief and loss in this book. But they're talking about death, and there's a quote that I quite liked in here that said, "She can't be dead," he had replied in answer to his mother's bald statement. He had heard the words, but he couldn't seem to get the sense of them. "What do you mean she's dead? What are you talking about?" And then, as an afterthought, who's going to bury her? For although Ruthie's father, Louis's uncle, was an undertaker, he couldn't imagine that Uncle Carl would possibly be the one to do it. In his confusion and mounting fear, he had seized upon this as the most important question. It was a genuine conundrum, like who cut the town barber's hair. He cried out in the greatest mental agony of his life, "She can't be dead." So it's basically like how there's that utter disbelief. Like, but they can't be dead. How can they be dead? Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like that utter disbelief. And then there's a sentence here, like relating it back to the cat. So they're talking about neutering the cat so that it doesn't kind of cross the road and it's a bit safer. Because obviously that road outside their house is notorious for like killing all the animals. So he says, "Call for an appointment, R.E. Church. If Yolanda doesn't neuter animals, he will refer." He looked at the note, wondering if it was time, knowing that it was. Something concrete had to come out of all of this bad feeling, and he had decided sometime between this morning and tonight, without even knowing he was deciding, that he didn't want Church crossing the road anymore if he could help it. So he's basically decided that they're going to neuter the cat, Church, to stop him from potentially becoming one of the victims of this road. It's really, really cool. I am getting like a small sense of foreboding that something bad is going to happen. So we shall soon find out. But I just think that so far the descriptions of death and relating them to real life are very, very powerful. Guys, the plot has escalated and I need to talk to you about it. I can't remember where I last checked in with you. Was I on page like 60 something? So I've not read too much further. So I'm on page 84, which is chapter 16. I'm getting a big sense of foreboding that something bad is going to happen soon. We are building up tension. So they keep mentioning the cat's upcoming neutering, like way more. They're putting so much emphasis on the fact that Church needs to be neutered in order to keep him safe. I'm expecting Church is going to die. I think the cat's going to die. I mean, the book is flipping called Pet Sematary. If a pet didn't die, then what's the cemetery for? I think Church is going to pass away, unfortunately. We also just had a student die in front of Louis. So Louis is like the doctor
GP for the university, so he's like treating all the students, and we just had a student die in front of him, which was crazy. And the kid said something about the Pet Sematary as he was dying. There is crazy foreboding coming up. Stuff is about to go down. Stuff has already gone down. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the pacing. I'm really enjoying the characters. I'm really enjoying the writing style. So far, I am enjoying it more than I thought. I do still have a lot left to go. I am nowhere near the end. I'm nowhere near even halfway through. But so far, it started off brilliantly, like way more than I thought it was going to. So I will catch in with you shortly when I read some more. But yeah, this is great. Like, it's a book so far that I'm wanting to pick up and read. I'm excited for it. Morning, it's a brand new day. I didn't update you after I finished reading yesterday. Today I've spent the morning doing some more reading, which is brilliant. I am now up to page 155, which is chapter 23. So let me update you on my thoughts so far, because I read a lot yesterday and I read a bit this morning as well, and I wrote down my thoughts and opinions, so I'm going to share those with you now. So obviously yesterday I said I'm really enjoying it. That still stands. I'm really enjoying this book so much. I am like hooked by it. On page 128 and 129, there was a very powerful paragraph about like denial and not believing that any of these things that you hear about in the news could actually happen to you. So like you hear about something really bad, really disastrous happening, but you never believe for a second that that could be your reality or that it could happen to you. It feels very distant. Also, I absolutely called it that the cat was going to die. Church has unfortunately tapped out. He's done, did it? He is, he's gone. So obviously, in the bit that I've just read, they have taken Church to the Pet Sematary with the hopes of bringing him back. Creepy, isn't it? They're trying to revive their dead cat. This is crazy. This is a crazy book. I mean, I was kind of right along the lines of ghosts when I said I thought it was going to be like a ghost story, but no, it's actually like resurrection, like reviving deceased pets. This is crazy. There's something very suspicious about Judd, so I have this crazy theory. I can't wait to see whether or not I'm right. I don't even think Judd is alive. I feel like Judd is somebody who's been brought back from the dead. He's just very sus. And also, in an evening, they all like to hang out on the porch together, have a few beers and chill. But I realised that Louis's wife will only ever hang out on the porch when Norma, Judd's wife, is there. And there was a situation with Norma, and she had some ill health, and she'd said to Louis that if he wasn't there, she would have died. But actually, Judd was there as well, supposedly. So she was with somebody. She wasn't alone. Like, if Louis wasn't there, she wasn't going to be alone because Judd was there as well. But it's like she kind of disregarded that. Louis has also worked out that there's something really suspicious about Judd. So he's realised that Judd's story about how his childhood dog Spot died doesn't add up. There's like flaws in his story. I like the way that Stephen King tried to give us a few pages to figure that out. So like he set all the facts, saying about the timelines and the dates. You know, when Judd said that Spot had died at one point, but then he was this age at another point, and the timelines didn't add up. I like that Stephen King gives you like a few pages breathing space to try and work it out for yourself, and then he tells you. So you don't have to spend too long getting confused and worked up about it. You can try and create your own theories as to what's up with that storyline, and then you go through Louis's process of working it out, and then together both you and Louis get the explanation at the end. I just really like that kind of writing style. So like I said, I'm up to page 155 at the moment. So far it is a 5-star book. Obviously that could change at any point, but so far this is a phenomenal book and I'm enjoying it so much. Sorry. You've just caught my live reaction of reading this chapter. Am I supposed to find it as funny as I currently do, the fact that Church just casually strolls on back in like nothing happened? The cat has just died. He's then just been resurrected and brought back to life, but he's some kind of weird zombie version of himself. And he just casually waltzes back into the house like nothing's happened. That was so funny. Like, there was no tension. He literally just strolls into the garage. That is hilarious. I don't know if I'm supposed to find that as funny as I did, but it was just so casual. Honestly, this is like a top tier book. This is peak. This is so funny. I've just realised as well, that's probably Church on the front cover, isn't it? The fact that he just strolls back on into the garage like nothing has happened is actually like tickling me so much. That is so funny. Hi, it's me again. Who else did you expect? You're on my channel. We've got to talk about this. It is getting juicy. It is getting so tense. The action is actually crazy when you think about it. Like, I think I'm maybe like 200 pages in, and when you think about how much has actually happened and the fact that I'm still not halfway through, so there's so much left to come, how is this possible? So since I last checked in with you, we've recently discovered that Judd knew all along about the crazy sus vibes coming on from the Pet Sematary, because his dog, Spot, came back to life. He used Pet Sematary to resurrect his dog. So when I was saying earlier about the suspiciousness of his story and how the timelines didn't add up, it's because he's used the Pet Sematary to bring his dog back. But then Louis asks Judd about whether or not a person could be brought back using the Pet Sematary. So has anyone ever resurrected a person? Obviously trying to work out if there is a link between the Pet Sematary and the university student who died in front of Louis on Louis's first day of work. So he's trying to figure out whether or not there's a connection there. And Judd is absolutely lying. He basically shuts down the conversation. He won't answer anything. I also just need to show you what is currently taking place beyond the camera. Can you guys see? He's literally just chilling, sat on the floor next to me. So yeah, really sus vibes from Judd. I'm still not sure if I think he's alive or not, but then I feel like my theory is really dumb. But that would make sense because Louis just asked Judd whether or not a person could be brought back using the Pet Sematary. So if Judd's like really suspicious about it, then that might indicate that he was brought back. My only thing is that like pets are coming back as like a zombified version of themselves. They're coming back as quite evil, not like great. So my only thing is that like Judd seems relatively normal, other than him being a little bit sus and a bit of a liar. He seems like a human being, whereas I think if he'd been brought back from the Pet Sematary, he would be like a zombified version of himself. So I'm really not sure. I also have another really, really awful theory, and I don't know if Stephen King would go there. I don't know if he'd be like dark enough to do this. I don't know if that's what the book is about or if it's strictly just staying on pets. But so in this book there's a beautiful little baby Gage, who is Louis and I keep forgetting his wife's name, but their child. They keep making reference to like, oh, no one's gonna die here, no one's gonna die in this house, it won't happen to us. Well, baby Gage almost died through choking. So there was an incident where he had like a choking incident, obviously a parent's worst nightmare, and Louis manages to save him, but he does actually have a flashback to that moment when his wife said no one's going to die here. And that was like in reference to the cat. She was saying Church isn't going to die, no one's going to die here. And then obviously Church did die and now he's been brought back and resurrected. Well, baby Gage had like a near miss incident. He's almost died. And then there's that flashback again of no one's going to die here. Is baby Gage going to die? And is he going to be brought back? No. I don't think even Stephen King would be disturbing enough to do a story about a baby dying and being brought back to life and resurrected in a pet cemetery by their parents. I don't think that would be something that he would do. It's disturbing enough about the cat and the idea that the pets are coming back. So yeah, I'm really not sure. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this book so far. It's still a 5-star read for me. I can't fault it. I have no complaints at all yet. And I'm really enjoying it. Like, I'm really thoroughly enjoying my time reading this. It's also chucking it down with rain. That's what I keep looking at behind the camera. It is so rainy. It's not even like a little bit of rain. It is like die-hard rain. I've got my bunny snuggled up next to me. I'm just having the best time reading this book. I can't wait to read some more, and I'm so happy that I have the day free in order to do that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read for maybe another couple of hours or so, and then I'll check back in and let you know what bit I'm up to. We'll see if any of my theories are right as well. I feel like they're very bizarre and very weird, and I don't think that is the plot of the book, but we shall see. Can you guys hear the rain? Is the microphone picking that up? Anyways, it's now been a good few hours since I last spoke to you, but I'm going to settle down and read a little bit more. I'm really enjoying this book. So since I last checked into you, we have now had 2 very detailed chapters about Judd's past experiences with his dog. So it was like storytelling chapters. He was like going back to the past and just kind of telling us the series of events. And then we also had Rachel's experiences with her sister. So we had that chapter as well, because her sister Zelda passed away, and it was a very traumatic experience for Rachel. Oh, Rachel is Louis's wife. I kept saying I forgot her name earlier. It's Rachel. So she had some very traumatic childhood experiences witnessing her sister's death. So we just got a very detailed chapter on that as well, which was really, really sad. There are some humongous themes of death in this book. I mean, what did I expect from a book that has cemetery in the title? But I didn't expect it to be so deep. Like, I didn't expect it to cover themes of grief and loss in as much emotion as it currently is. Like, it's not the creepy ghost story I was expecting it to be. It's actually deep, meaningful, powerful. The characters have just been through so much loss, and everyone's trying to grieve in their own way. It's just really, really cool. So whilst we currently have heavy rainfall, I'm gonna get into bed basically and read. It is the afternoon, but I'm gonna I'm gonna read for a little bit. This is so relaxing. Oh guys, I don't know if you can see, but my eyes are like actually watering right now. I've been sat here for like 20 minutes. I just read possibly like one of the like saddest chapters in like anything I've ever read, or like it was so beautifully written. That's the thing. So I was going to come on here midway through the chapter and tell you how beautifully written I thought it was, and that it was honestly like the most stunning chapter that I've ever read of anything. But then there is one line towards the end of the chapter which just absolutely broke my heart. I so wish that I was recording myself when I was reading it, because I visibly gasped and my eyes just immediately started watering because I just felt so sad. So I'm going to talk about that now. I just did not expect that to be as powerful as it was. Like, when I think about it, like my eyes start to water a little bit. I genuinely did feel like I was close to crying. Honestly, I'm like absolutely destroyed from it. So I didn't even finish the chapter. I haven't even finished the chapter yet. That's how bad it was, is that I literally had to stop. So I'm in the middle of chapter 35 and I'm on page 249. It's about that much of the way through the book. So the chapter is basically the premise of Louis and his son Gage are having like a father-son day, and they're going out to fly a kite for the first time with Gage, and Louis doing it with his son because he used to do it when he was a child, and he just wants to, you know, his son to enjoy that as well. And this chapter is like stunningly beautiful, seeing how much love Louis has for his son, like just seeing how much he loves his child is like, it's just, honestly, it's beautiful. The love in this chapter is compelling, and I mean, to be honest, like I almost started crying thinking about how this father and his young son are spending such a beautiful moment together. Like it's just such a beautiful chapter. They're just having this perfect time, and I almost cried thinking about how lovely this was and how there isn't that much like nice in the world, but the fact that there's just a father and a son flying a kite together and they're just both so happy, and it's honestly lovely. And then the bit that's just made me like almost burst into tears, which I'm gonna have to be brave and read, is kites flying, Gage cried out to his father, and Louis put his arm around Gage's shoulders and kissed the boy's cheek, in which the wind had bloomed a wild rose. I love you, Gage, he said. It was between the two of them, and that was all right. And Gage, who now had less than 2 months to live, laughed shrilly and joyously. Kites flying, Daddy. It's making me teary. It's that part, Gage, who now had less than 2 months to live. That honestly caught me off guard, and I kind of predicted it though. Like I said, I thought that Gage was going to die, but to see it in like written so bluntly in a chapter like that, like you have to praise Stephen King's writing style. Like I genuinely think this is one of the most well-written books I've read in a very long time, and the fact that he's just put that phrase in there so simply but so powerfully, like that is the part where I audibly gasped, because I was like, oh my goodness, Gage has less than 2 months to live and they're just having such a perfect day. It's honestly, my heart has just broken into a million pieces. This chapter is soul destroying, and based on what I think might happen next, it could bring me to tears. This book, it could actually make me cry, because I very, very almost did reading that chapter. It was just so beautiful. And I think my theory might be right. I've predicted that Gage is going to die, and I think that because of the love that Louis has for him, he's obviously going to be heartbroken when his child dies. So I think he's going to try and bring Gage back through the Pet Sematary. Now, I have no idea how that's going to go. I have no idea if that's going to work, if he's going to be successful, if Gage is going to turn into this kooky ghost and go around haunting everybody. I've got no idea. But I just need to sit and like process that chapter. I haven't actually finished the chapter. I think there's a few pages left. But I just need to sit and process that. That was honestly heartbreaking. Oh my goodness, I'm a mess. Guys, we have got to talk about this book. Sorry if it's a bit echoey in here. I'm in one of the bathrooms and it is really echoey actually, isn't it? Is that going to be annoying? I'm also currently in my lunch break from work and I have finished Pet Sematary. Over the past couple of days, I have been reading and writing down my thoughts to share with you. The reason why I haven't been updating you as I've gone along, I was fully immersed in it, and that's why I've not stopped to pick up the camera, because I was reading and then I was writing down my thoughts and then I was reading again. That's how good this book is that I literally didn't want to pick up the camera and talk about it because all I wanted to do was keep reading it. So the last time you saw me, I was almost in tears because of that extremely emotional chapter regarding Gage and that statement about how he only has a couple of months left to live. That still affects me. Even after finishing the book, that is still so crazy that that even happened. Now, I'm not gonna lie, at that point I forgot that the book was in parts because that first part is huge. So when it then moved over to the second part, it took me by surprise. I was like, I didn't remember that it was in parts. There was this really powerful chapter, I think it was in chapter 40 I wrote down, and it was from Judd saying why you shouldn't resurrect a human. Now that was giving me like proper vibes that they were going to do the silly thing and try to resurrect Gage after his death, which did happen. And then there was also a chapter which I thought was so powerful and so beautiful, where Louis was like imagining and dreaming what would have happened to Gage if he'd have lived. So who would he have grown up to be? Such as going to college, having his first girlfriend, but growing up and becoming a swimmer, like what career would he have been in? It was just so gut-wrenching and so powerful. And then when he wakes up and oh, there's a butterfly going past the window. And then when he wakes up and realizes that that was just a dream and his son isn't here, his son has passed away, and his son will never grow up to have a girlfriend or go to college or become a swimmer. Like, it honestly, the tears were close to falling. This book almost made me cry so many times. Like, it was so close to making me cry. I just feel like Stephen King has captured grief incredibly well. This book is so much more emotional than I ever thought it would be. I thought it was going to be a scary, spooky horror book. It's not. It just captures grief and loss so beautifully and so accurately. So then we get to the part where Louis becomes a grave robber. Or is he a grave robber when the grave is his own son's? At that point, I felt incredibly glad that I was reading this book when I don't have young children, because I can guarantee this book would have made me bawl my eyes out in tears had I have had a child, especially one that was the same age as Gage or a similar age. I would be incredibly interested to know, if you had small children when you read this book, what did you think to it? Because I was so affected by this book on so many occasions, and I can't relate to having a child. So I really would like to know how it felt for you as a parent. My only concern was that I got to about 40 pages left and I was worried as to how they were going to wrap up the whole story, because there was a lot of things that felt like they'd been left open and I didn't want the ending to feel rushed. Now, I am pleasantly surprised. I did have those concerns, but I actually don't think it was rushed. My guess at that point was that the ending was going to be so short because Gage comes back and ends up like killing everybody. I was partially right with that. Gage came back and just created chaos, to be honest. And I just felt so sad for Judd. Like, I actually ended up really liking him at the end. And it's crazy because obviously I thought he was a bit sus at the start. I was a bit like skeptical of him, but I actually ended up really enjoying his character at the end. So then I finished the book, and it was one of those where I kind of sat in silence and just had to process everything that I'd read. Now, what I will say is the ending didn't feel rushed per se, but a lot is left open. It does not wrap things up, which is fine. A lot of books are like that. You don't necessarily always need to wrap up your novel. You can leave it open to interpretation. That is fine. I feel like I wanted to see a little bit more emotion from Louis when he saw Gage again. So I feel like his child has just come back from the dead. I would have liked a little bit more emotion from Louis. However, I also acknowledge the fact that Louis had turned literally insane at that point. He probably doesn't know where he is, what he's doing. He's had a complete psychological breakdown. I actually think that for somebody in that frame of mind, that lack of emotion probably makes sense. Like, you can see throughout the course of that second part of the book gradually how Louis's thoughts and perspectives get more and more insane because he's just suffered so much trauma. I like that at the end we don't really know whether or not Rachel's resurrection was all that successful or not. We don't know who she has come back as. We don't know if it worked. And I think that there's a key part about this ending of the book which just goes to show that people will do anything when they're grieving to bring their loved ones back. I mean, Louis has just seen his child die, come back to life, and then kill everybody. And yet he still thinks that there's a chance that him resurrecting his wife is not going to have the same effect. And we don't know whether or not it will. Like, he will literally do anything to get his family back. And it just shows the power that grief and loss has over you. So yeah, it was just a crazy book. I just wanted to let you know that's why I've not checked in, because I've just been reading this book, thoroughly enjoying it, and I just feel so deeply moved and affected by this book, and it was 100% a 5 out of 5 stars. This to me was incredible. Highly disturbing though. Okay, so I think it's been about a week or so, maybe just over, since I finished Pet Sematary, but I wanted to come on here and give you a very reflective review now that I've had time to process it and for my thoughts and emotions to settle. I feel like I'm now at a stage where I can talk to you coherently about this book. I still agree with everything that I said in the previous clips, but I'm about to say something completely unexpected that I didn't expect to say.
That's exactly what the definition of unexpected means. This is my favourite book I've read this year. I never thought that this was gonna be. If I thought about my anticipated reads for the year for 2025, this was not on there. I was not that excited to pick up and read this book. And I read this book firstly because it's Stephen King and I want to read more Stephen King because I've loved the books I've read in the past by him, but I haven't read that many. And it was highly recommended by multiple viewers and comments. So because I kept seeing people mention Pet Sematary and highly recommending it, I thought, well, I'll give it a go. I'll read it. But guys, I cannot believe that I put this off for so long because I had the best time reading this book. I've been like in and out of reading slumps all year long. When I read this book, I was not in a reading slump at all. I wanted to read this constantly. I would wake up and the first thing I would do is go and read it. I'd be like upset if I had a busy day and couldn't sit and read this. Like, I have not felt that way about a book in a very long time, where genuinely all I want to do is sit and read until my eyes physically can't anymore. This book was firstly incredibly well written, but secondly the storyline is crazy. Even when I feel like I predicted what was going to come up, it still hit really hard because of Stephen King's writing style. This is by far a 5 out of 5 star read. It is definitely my favourite book that I've read this year. It's not my favourite book that I've ever read because that would be A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms by George R.R. Martin, and that is peak. Like, that is a 6-star book. But this does come pretty darn close. I would love to reread this. I kind of already want to, and I only finished reading it last week. I will absolutely consider reading this again in the autumn time as well. I felt connected to the characters and I just had a great time. So I'm really, really thankful for those of you that recommended that I read this book and that prompted me to do it, because I would have massively missed out if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you. Yes, it is probably the most creepy book I've ever read in my entire lifetime. The storyline for this is crazy. Like, I don't think another author would go there. This is a very disturbing storyline, but the emotions that it brings, like, it's not just like horror for the sake of horror. The amount of emotions that it gives you, man, are just crazy. I just realised I just called you a man. When do I ever say that? Do I think I'm cool or something? Sup, dog? So I'm going to end the video there because I feel like this reading vlog is quite different to things that I normally do. So please let me know what you think to this style of video in comparison to the normal sit-down book reviews that I do, where I just film in this spot and just film my reviews. But if you like the process of me updating as I'm reading the book in the vlog style form, please do let me know what you prefer. I can do a mix of both to try and please everybody, but this was really fun to film. So I'm going to wrap this video up here. Please let me know what you thought to Pet Sematary when you read it. I just can't believe how great this book was. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up to let me know. If you like my content and you want to see more from me, then please subscribe because it's free and it means that you'll see my videos easier. I also want to give a huge thank you to the members that are supporting my channel. It honestly means the absolute world to me and you are so appreciated. If you would like to have your name featured at the end of each of my videos, or you want access to some cool perks, then please do check out the channel memberships. Thank you so much for reading this book with me. I will see you next time, or rather you'll see me, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.